what I'm doing now, I'm going to leave your mics. Actually, let me go ahead and mute your mics out just for a second because I want to go over some things. Um, let's see. Yeah. So everyone's muted now. And as they come in, they'll automatically mute. Yeah, and you don't have to click the mute button on your side. Here's some things that you want to look for. Uh, I'll show you how this actually runs. And hopefully we won't have any problems. Very rarely, but I haven't done any classes down here in Florida since I've been here, so you just never know. So anyway, what we have here, I'm looking at two different. I got stuff all over my screen. I have the picture that you're looking at comes out of this camera. That's a Logitech camera, and then I record the video, the class with another camera which is below it. So basically my eyes train on where they are right now. You on your side, I don't open up your mics unless it's needed, and I don't open up your camera. I found that when I did that, it had different effects on people. First off, if there's an issue, I have to send you a request to open up your mic, open up your camera, and then you have to send that back. So that takes a little bit of time. Then I've tried to do it before, and there was a lady that I said, I'm not getting what you're talking about. So let me just open up your camera and see what's going on. It was, no, 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 no. I'm in my pajamas. So I just don't do it. If it's really necessary, I will, but then we can talk about it and talk it through. All right, so the things you want to look for is the chat box. Make sure you can find the chat box. You also, next to your name in the roster or somewhere near your name, everyone's on a different system, so I can't just say, no, you're already muted, Barbara. Don't worry about it. Let them bark. That's how we know this is live, isn't it? Anyway, you want to find the hands up. There's a place somewhere where you'll either see a hand or you'll see an arrow. The arrow may be this way, and then when you click it, it goes to this way. What that does is puts a yellow hand next to your name. So I can go over there and just open up your mic. And if you have any questions, and we'll do this often, I'll say, does anyone have any questions? Anyone have any comments, etc.? Then you click your hand up, and don't be bashful, because time goes right by. And so what I want you to try to do, and then I open up your mic. It's the easiest way to do it, and set it, because if you have a long, involved question, you don't want to be opening up, you don't want to be typing it in. See if you can find that hands up, and leave it up. Now, if you click it and it goes up, and if you click it again, it comes down, right? So it goes away. Go ahead and leave it up, because Lynn's just got, theirs up. Steve found his. So go ahead and try to find your hands up. Keep going, and just kind of search around, because that's how we communicate. That's what makes this really work well. Yeah, Rad, let's see, did you get yours? No, you didn't find. Now you may be on, yeah, Rad, you're okay there. Also, if you're on a pad or something else, it's totally in a different place. Keep going. I need Barbara, Becky, Ellen, and see, I'm the only one that can see the hand go up. So if you have an embarrassing question, or if there's an embarrassing answer, using a hand signal, like, who really stunk on that last song? And I'll have you put your hands up. No one else sees it, so you don't have to worry about it. Okay, not everybody's thrown their hand up, so I don't know necessarily why. But there you go, they're coming in. They're coming in. And I'm not going to linger here too much longer. I'm on a Mac and see no hands up, just a chat box. If someone else is on a Mac, and I think you can right-click your name, too, in the attendees list. Okay, so let me do this. I'm going to put everybody's hand down. That's send them up. They're all down. Go ahead and send them all back up one more time. And leave it up there. Just leave it up there. And if someone's on a Mac and has found it, would you just put it in the chat box where it's at? Okay. We're going to go ahead and get started. Now, this is, well, we're already started. Okay, you found it. Throw it up there, Rad. Oh, it's the left-hand side. Okay. By your name, yeah. I figured it would be. Okay, good. All right. We'll go ahead and get started. As I mentioned, this is a introduction to the 100 series, which is a beginner class. We have the way I've done these is I have a 100, a 101, 102, 103. Each set of those is 6 weeks long, and it progressively gets more fun. I don't want to say gets harder because I don't think this is hard at all. And when you finish 101, you move into 102. And I usually tell people just go ahead and start at the level lower than you think you are. And the reason for that is because I cram, if you've got my DVDs or my books, or if you've been to one of my workshops, you know that I cram a ton of information into these classes. As we go on through the weeks, we go back and review. As we go back and review, and I feel that you're comfortable with what we've done, I say, well, what about if we add in this right here? So we do a lot of add-ins. So we're learning how to take this simple measure and turn it into something more interesting. I don't want to say complicated, I just want to say interesting. Interesting for you and hopefully for whoever's listening. You just never know. They're staying right outside the door. Okay, I keep everything light. We have a lot of fun while we're doing this, and I also, I'm recording the class. The class is, we're at 6 minutes and 30 seconds right now, and I'll give a timestamp. You may want to have, hopefully you print, throw your hand up if you printed out the sheets I sent you today. Okay. That was just another test to see if you could find where your hand goes up, but not everybody's sending it up, so there's some reason for that. I don't know what it is. And we only had, there you go, Paul. We only have 15 out of the 20. There's supposed to be 24 here. All right. So as I mentioned, we go on for the 6 weeks, and then you move into the next class. So what you'll have to decide today, after this class, and after reviewing the YouTube video that I'll send you the link to later, which is this class again. You'll have to decide, do you want to start with the 101 or the 102? So if what we do today is somewhere around maybe the second or third week of the 101, and that's where we're starting today, because I don't know how you guys play. So we have to do it that way. As I mentioned, I'll do a timestamp from time to time. So right now we're at 7 minutes and 50 seconds. And on a piece of paper, that's why I asked you if you printed this out, because on the back of this paper, you may want to just write these timestamps that I give you, because that way when you go to the YouTube link, you can zoom it right up to that. You don't have to necessarily watch the whole thing, and you definitely don't have to watch this again, right? Okay, so I'll get started here. I don't know you yet. So I'm going to do a series of questions. How many of you, throw a hand up if you're a note reader? And you don't have to be good at it. You just have to understand, okay, that's almost everybody. Okay, and then I'll throw your hand down. And then also throw your hand up if you're a tab reader. Okay, so we have note readers and tab readers. The only other one is mouth breathers. So throw your hand up if you don't read tab or notes. Okay, there are a couple of you. So let's do this. As we get to it, I'm going to go ahead and talk about finding some notes on the guitar, which is not very difficult, and understanding tabs. So we'll have to do that. Now I do have, believe it or not, I've got a notebook full of stuff to do. Unfortunately, we can't get it all today, but you know, I've got a list of things that I want to cover. This is the 101 list, and so some of the things we're not going to cover, but first thing on the list is getting to know the parts of the guitar. Now, when I find that people in the class know or have been playing for a while, but playing rhythm and not lead, or playing lead and not rhythm, I go over the parts of the guitar, but I also talk about setup. Is your guitar easy to play? Can you do this? And of course, I went to an F chord because F chord is one of the hardest ones, and that's what the F looks like. Next thing is tuning by ear. I don't think we're going to do that today because that just takes a little bit of time. We will talk about right hand technique and left hand technique because I want to make sure you guys are getting off on the right foot. or changing some habits that you may have had. Fretting the notes with ease, we have to do it. These are all things that we cover in the 100 series. When you get into 102, we usually don't, because people most likely have gone through this. But if there are any questions on it, then we go ahead and talk about it. The only other thing I needed to say that I didn't get a chance to yet is if the screen freezes or if there's an internet issue, I'm going to continue to record the class. Usually these are done at night. I see the note, Stephen. Yeah, no, we're not going to even deal with left-hand players. No, no, I'm kidding. It's going to be the same for either one. And if you're if you're just starting out and you're left-handed and you're on the fence which way to go, I still suggest right-handed, because it's an odd feel for everyone when you first start. So I just suggest that. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I've got to get my what I've got here. I'm using as I mentioned, I'm in Florida right now, and this is we call it Flatpick Central South, because normally I'm in Tennessee. And so this is a Martin D18 Golden Era that I picked up at Winfield a couple of years ago. This is I got second. I don't know if it was 2 years ago. Anyway, this is a guitar I picked up then. Oh, that's the Nationals. Winfield is the Nationals. I just kind of take it for granted people know. So that's what this guitar is that I'm using today. As far as the tuners, let's talk about the equipment I'm using. I use these IntelliTouch tuners. This one with a chrome side is the first one that came out with a clock in it. And I like the clock because you can, for me, I can tell when my concert set's about over. I just say, well, it's getting kind of late here. I guess I've probably got time for one or two more. Let me tune up. And once I turn it to tune up, the clock shows. Okay, it says it's 6:15 right now. I don't know where I was last. And anyway, what I like about these tuners is that when you hit any note, when the screen turns green, it's in tune. So you just hit the note and watch the screen change from red to green. When it's green, it's on. So I saw it turn green. I know I'm in tune there, at least on my first string. And it just clips on the peg head. I don't like to leave it there because sometimes this rubber that is in here on any of these tuners can leave a mark on the peg head. Okay. The other thing that I find I do here, which I don't normally do, is I'm using a footstool only because I need to get the guitar in the shot. Here it is without the footstool. Okay, I use on the internet, these are called Steve's Too Thin Yellow Picks, and they're not thin, they're medium. They're made by Dunlop. It's like a Tortex, except mine has a bear on it and theirs has a turtle on it. And it's a 0.73 millimeter medium gauge. I highly recommend that. If I use a heavy pick, it starts to hurt my wrist right away. So I don't want to have repetitive motion injuries. So and a heavy pick also takes your highs away. So it makes it a little more difficult to hear. You're going to be more bass projected notes than crisp treble projected notes. Okay, so I use the medium gauge. I'm using the point. I don't use the round side. I'm going to hold the pick with my index finger and thumb. Let me pull my fingers out of the way. I've got my thumb print on the pick, and I've got the side of my first finger holding it. Okay, I've got the side, not the fingerprint. See how it changes? Now, here's how I grip the pick if it was going into the string. With the side of my finger. If I go to my fingerprint, see it turns it almost perpendicular. And you don't want that. So this way, from the way I'm going to describe my right hand, that's the grip you want to have. Now these three fingers are loose. This is all that's holding onto the pick, and it's really the thumb that's holding it, pushing against your index finger, but not very hard. Okay, and I like to use this example. See, when we're talking about not hard, I'm not holding the pick tightly. I'm not gripping it like I'm going to squeeze a tear out of it. Okay, here's my standard strength of my thumb against my index finger. What happens is my thumb muscle right here is the one that's doing it. Okay, so if I'm pushing in, here's totally relaxed. And I wish I had something not so pointy to push. Oh, wait, this is a little better. I'll use a Sharpie. Okay, totally relaxed, right? See how far that goes in there? Okay, when I tighten my thumb to the strength that I need, the pen comes out about that far. When people generally hold a pick, it comes out that far because they're squeezing a tear out of it, and you don't have to do that. Only enough to hold onto the pick so it's not going to move in your hand, left or right-handed. Okay. Any questions? Throw a hand up. Now I have, and see, that's what I'll see. I'll see the yellow come up next to your name. I have about a 1/2 inch of pick exposed because when I'm practicing slowly, I want to sink about a 1/2 inch in. Okay, a 1/2 inch into the string. That pick is going all the way to my thumb. It's going all the way to my thumb line. Go ahead and try that. Okay. All right. And I see I need to move out of the shot a little more here because of my name. I guess my name is in everybody's. So I'll move over here a little bit. Okay. Now, this one is an introduction to the 100 series, and it's rhythm and lead. Normally, I would just do rhythm on Monday nights, and then I start my leads on Tuesday nights. Yeah, I thought so. And you know, there's no way to get that out, Emily, so I just have to deal with it. So anyway, so normally rhythm is on Monday night, so I'm going to kind of split this down a little bit, but I didn't want to do it this way as a regular class because I didn't want to say, okay, 30 minutes is up, we got to go ahead and move on to lead, and then, you know, cut what we're doing. All right, so getting back to this right hand, here's the thing, is that the right hand acts as a pendulum, and when I have more time, I go into more detail on this. The right hand acts as a pendulum. It acts as your metronome. It's going to swing back and forth for everything, and you don't let it stop. Don't let the pendulum stop swinging. I think, and I'm going to get back to that in a second then, okay? Because I should also say when I kind of look off and freeze like that, I'm not, your screen didn't freeze and I'm not having a stroke or a seizure. I'm thinking about, I want to, I'm thinking about several things I want to say at one time. See, I just got onto another one. Go ahead and mute your strings out. Just hold on to them. Mute them out. Okay, give me 4 quarter note strums, and a quarter note strum is just a single down strum. It lasts 1 beat, and if we're doing 4, it sounds like that. 2, and I'm going to count you off. 2, 3, 4. Then you go. 2, 3. Give me 4 of them. See, no one heard if you were at a time. Give me 4 more. 2, 3, 4. Now, they should be all down swings. And because they're all down swings, my hand has to come back up in order to hit it again. 2, 3, all downs. Down, 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 down. All quarter notes are hit on down swings at 18 minutes and 30 seconds. All quarter notes are hit on down swings. Eighth notes are the ones that are going to alternate down and up. All right, because you went down on all of those, you had to come up between them, and that's your pendulum. That's your metronome clicking back and forth. Because you came up between them, your timing was more like 99.9% accurate to being on time for the next note. Give it to me again. 4, 1, let's see, 2, 3, 4. Again. There's your pendulum going back and forth. Okay, there's your metronome. All right. Your notes and your chords, when you're playing rhythm or lead, does exactly the same thing. Okay? Rhythm or lead, it's the same thing. All right? I'm being distracted. We got people coming in still, which is good. Let me stretch that out. Okay. So now let's do this. Let's look at this chart. Throw a hand up. Now, on this one, you can see it says D here, and then I redid the sheet because I made it D7. Yours should say D7 there. Go ahead and on that G, C, and D7, throw a hand up if you already know those chords. And leave your hand up. Leave your hand up there. And Della, we have to find where you can throw your hand up. It should be next to your name. You can click on something and a hand will come up on my side. Okay, so a majority of you do. Let me just do this real quick then. I'm going to throw the hands down. Let me do this real quick. We're going to look at this G chord first. So what we have here in this chart, because there's about 25% of you did not throw a hand up. So let me just go over how to read these chord charts real quick. And Ellen, I'm going to throw your hand down. If that's a question, throw it back up. And same with you, Rad. If that's because it was late. It came up late, so it could have been a question. If anyone has a question, throw a hand up. All right. As far as reading these charts, what you're really looking at is the peg head, just like this. Okay. So let me move the G over there. All right. It's just like that. So the strings are coming down, and the frets go across, and we have to have a chord in our hand, or we're at the point where we're going to talk about left hand. There's two other things I want to talk about right hand, but I can't do it yet until we get into some right hand stuff. On the left hand, what you want to do in reading this chart, the dots are telling you what string and what fret to put your finger. Let's look at this 2 dot, the one that has a 2 in it. Okay, that's all the way on the far side. That means it's going to be on the 6th string. Now, let's be clear here. Your strings, the highest one is your 1st string. 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. The bassiest one is your 6th string. And people have that switch, so I want to be clear on that. 1st string, if you buy a pack of strings, it's going to say 1st string. Okay? All right, so we have to go to the 6th string with this 2. That 2 represents your 2nd finger. Okay? 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th finger. I don't say pinky, and we won't use our thumb on this side. Sometimes we will, but rarely will we use our thumb on this side. And I'll show you when you will. All right, so 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th finger. So this is asking you to put your 2nd finger on the 6th string, 3rd fret. Okay, go ahead and do that. Now, here's the thing on the left hand. When you put your finger down in the fret, you need to push it up in the fret as far as possible without going over. So this is typically where I put my finger, but it may look like I'm on top of it, but I'm not. I've got the pressure right before it. That's going to be the easiest place to push your string down. If you go ahead and push that down lightly and hit it, it should be clear. Okay? Now, loosen the pressure of that finger until it goes away, just barely goes away. And then add a gram's worth of pressure back down so it comes out clear again. That's as light as you can possibly hold that note. You've just got a gram's worth of pressure there. Okay, now take your finger and slide it back to the middle of the fret, but don't change the strength. It went away. Okay, so that shows with the least amount of pressure on the string as far up in the fret as possible is all it's going to take to push those strings down. You don't need a death grip with the left hand. I did not mention, because I assumed these are these boxes here are your frets, so the 3rd fret is going to be the 3rd box up, and you would have seen that when I played it. Okay, you also have position markers on the top. Mine starts at the 3rd fret here. It doesn't have it at the nut, and it doesn't have it on the front. It has it on the side there. Okay, all right. So you need your 2nd finger on the 6th string 3rd fret, 1st finger on the 5th string 2nd fret, and then use your little finger. Don't use your ring finger at all. Use your little finger on the 1st string 3rd fret. Okay. Okay. I got 2 questions coming up. For whom? Who already plays a G chord? Throw a hand up. Throw them up there. Throw them up there. Okay. So a majority, almost everybody. Okay. So now I'm throwing them down. Now, who here is holding a G chord the way I just described it? First 2 fingers in the bass and little finger on the 1st string. That's almost everybody. And I thought I should have rephrased that. To whom is this a new G chord finger positioning. Okay, good. Okay, good. Now here's the reason for this. There you go, Della, you found it. There you go. Okay, the reason I do it this way is because, for one, I can add my ring finger. Now this is a little farther down the road than the first class in. If I add my ring finger to the second string, I have an added D note to the chord. Okay, so that's a G. It's basically an extended more G stuff in the chord, right? D note is your fourth string open. So we're just adding it on the second string. It just adds another note that should be in the chord anyway. If you go ahead and hold that chord. Okay, second string, third fret. Okay, take that finger and move it over to the third string, third fret. When you strum that through, you'll find a chord you don't ever want to hit again. Don't play that chord. That's a bad one. All right, so now if you take it and move it to the fourth string, third fret, then I have another way to hold a G7 chord at 26 minutes and 19 seconds. So there's the G7 that I most likely will use because it's a more deep and mellow G7 chord. Okay, so what we've been able to talk about at this little segment here, because most of you know the G, C, and the D chord, D7. Those are the three chords that we'll play in the key of G. If we're in the key of G, more than likely those are the chords we're going to use. Okay, G, C, and D7. Okay, they're also called 1, 4, 5 chords, which we don't have to talk about right now. But the 5 chord, for those that know, is typically a 7th chord. All right, so now what we've discussed now is moving the fingers out as far in the frets as possible. The thing we didn't do, go ahead and hold that G chord back again. Or actually, switch to a C chord. C is your first finger on the second string, first fret, and you can see, I just set it up like I normally would, but it looks like I'm on top of the fret. Okay, then you skip a string, go to the fourth string, second fret, and then the fifth string, third fret, and spread it on out there. Now here's the difficulty, is having your first string clear and open. So what you end up having to do, I'm going to give you a second, and then I'm going to ask you to throw a hand up if that first string is not clear. Okay, so no hands went up there. All right, everybody's, we got, okay. When you have any of your chords, your left-hand fingers are supposed to go straight into the fingerboard, straight in. If they have any kind of angle at all, you're going to be nicking the string next to it. You're going to be muting it out. You're going to be making it fuzzy or dampen it, right? Which is why I've got short fingers. I've got a big palm, but I've got short fingers. I prefer a wide neck fingerboard. And these golden eras are wide neck. Any of the vintage Martins will have a wide neck on it because that's the way they did it in the 30s, right? So because it's a wide neck, I don't have to go straight into the string. I can have a little angle. Whereas if you don't have a wide neck, you have to be more articulate with your fingers. And what I mean by that is every one of these joints has to bend a certain amount to get that fingertip to go directly straight into the fingerboard. That's what you have to work on. So if any of your notes that should be ringing open are not ringing open, then you're gonna I don't know if you could see that, but here's open and here's muted. Did you see that? All I did was move that. It's not even 1/8 of an inch, it is 1/16 of an inch. So I have to clear those strings, and I do that by letting my thumb drop down the back a little more. I don't know if I can get a money shot here. See, that's about where my thumb is. It's hard to see, but it's really straight behind the pressure of my thumb going in is straight behind the fifth string, and I'm using a lot of the side of my finger, not the fingerprint. So I'm using the side. What that does is it throws my fingers at an angle down the neck. Okay? Little finger's not going anywhere. All right, now, go ahead and hold the C chord. Go ahead and set that chord down. Let's figure out where your thumb is really supposed to go. while I have a sip of my coffee. Hold that C chord. Usually I have decaf at this time. Okay, now you're holding the chord. Everything is as clear as we can make it. Let's say it that way. Now, well, then take your thumb loose. What you want to have is a lot of air underneath. Let's see if I can get that. You can see that right there. You want to have a lot of air underneath. You don't want to be holding it like a baseball bat. So if you drop your thumb back down, if you drop it down and create this distance underneath, then it's easier to curl your fingers around to clear and to cleanly hit those strings. Okay, so you take your thumb loose and then put it on the back of the neck, somewhere between the 5th and 4th string at the 2nd fret. It should comfortably go to that. Here's what I'm trying to get rid of. A lot of people take their thumb and move it back this way. What that does is, look at my wrist when I do that. It pulls it up, and I'm going to be blocking off my 1st string easier. The thumb has so much to do with the setup of your chord. That's what I'm trying to get at this point. I got to do something on my screen. Okay, any questions, throw a hand up. Any questions? Don't be bashful. You know, if we were in the 6-week class, by about the 3rd week, everybody's hand pops up there because you get to know each other. Any questions, comments? All right. Okay, let me keep moving then. Now, I do have one here I wanted to go over. This F chord, if you didn't know these top 3, you don't know the F. So I can assume there's a couple of you, 20% of you, that don't know the F chord. But I can tell you, actually, I did a video. The F is I think, in my opinion, the hardest chord that you can possibly make, because you have to learn to bar. It's a short little bar that you have to make. There you go. You got that right. Now, and for those that are not here, Felicia chatted in, I do have trouble with the F. It sucks, right? And I don't know if I can say this because I don't know all you people so well, but they call it an F chord for a reason. Now they on YouTube, I have a video that gets really involved. It's called That Dang F Chord. So if you just search my name out and then put F chord, and chord is C-H-O-R-D, not like a chord of wood, all right? And then it'll go right to it on the YouTube video. I think I have a link on my site, but I don't remember anymore. We changed the site around. All right, so here's the deal with the F. First finger is going to go on the first 2 strings, 1st fret, as far up in the fret as possible, and I'm going to pull my elbow into my side. Elbow into my side. Then my 2nd finger goes down. When I pull my elbow into my side, it changes from using the fingerprint, which is too soft, to using the knife edge of the side of my finger, which is stiff, is harder. Okay? Then the 2nd finger goes down, then the 3rd finger goes down. You're only going to hit those 4 strings. Now I had a little rattle on mine, so I pulled my elbow deeper into my side. That's what I did to get rid of it. If I have my elbow out here, if I pull it in, and with a little bit of practice, that will come to you. And what's going to happen is you're going to play through a song, and it's going to have an F, and you're going to go right through that measure, and you're going to say, dang, I didn't have to stop this time. You know? Okay, any questions on that F? I have it on here. We're not going to use it today, but I have it on here just because it takes a little practice. And the reason I say that it's the hardest is because you're having to learn how to bar, and you're fighting the tension of the nut. No, you're not going to, Felicia, you're not going to mute the first 2 strings. You're going to push those down. Okay? Now, my thumb is down a little lower because my center of balance, it's actually about a 1/4 inch lower than it was when I was holding my C. And actually, here's the C. Watch it drop down when I hit the F. Now, it looked like it laid down, but it didn't. It really just came down. Okay? Because my center of pressure that I need to push is a little bit lower. All right? But no, that finger's actually holding down the 2 strings. So here's the other deal. If you'll put a capo on, which you may not have one, I use these shove capos. And all this stuff that I talk about The strings, I use DR strings. Okay, minor medium gauge. I use the Shub capos. I use the IntelliTouch tuner. I use Steve's 2 thin yellow picks. All of this stuff is on my website because people ask where you can get it. So you can look on there and find it. This tuner is called the PT10C. I really like this one. There's also a white one that is a strobe tuner, $30, same thing. $30 for a tuner, you know. You can get cheaper tuners, but what you're getting is a cheaper tuner. And that's the problem with it. All right, if you put a capo on and you can play the F chord, or you put a capo on and it's easier to play, easier to push your fingers down, and then you take the capo off and you can't do it, then your strings are too high at the nut. You need to bring it in somewhere and get them to cut that down a little bit. All right, so now we've touched on the F chord. The trick to making the F chord is pulling your elbow into your side. All right, and questions, comments? Do you hold the guitar turned away from you or tilted to see the fret? No, yeah, Bill, good question. Takes the stress off the left hand if you turn it away. Turn it away this way, some. I don't know if it's that doing it or if it's this doing it. so I don't know. But when I play with a strap on, it's the way it's normally going to go, and it's off to the side a little bit. Okay, but I don't tilt it up to see the front. That puts more stress on your hand. It will overextend your wrist back here. So you hyperextend, so you don't want to do that. Have it straight up and down. You can look on the front and kind of get an idea where you're at, and after just a few weeks, you don't have to look at it as much anymore. What I look at is the top of the frets, so I can see where my finger placement is, and I know where the strings are because they've been in the same place all these years. I know where the strings are on this side because they've been there. They've been there all these years. So it's the practice in there that gets you used to where everything is. If you practice in the same setting, if you have the same size chair, don't use a stool, don't sit on the edge of the bed, don't sit on the couch. The F chord. Okay, and my hand was out of the. See how far up I'm at? And my first finger's covering the first 2 frets. Second finger gets, and write this down, I'm at 37 minutes and 30 seconds. All right, my first finger gets the first 2 strings at the first fret. Second finger is going to get the 3rd string 2nd fret. Ring finger gets the 4th string 3rd fret. And squeeze a tear out of it. Pull your elbow in your side. You should do fine with that. Okay, and I need to move on, only because I'm trying to do rhythm and lead at one time. So it's I don't want to say it's stressful, but I'm. Any other questions? Oh no, go ahead and either chat them in or throw a hand up. Anything there? Okay, so Felicia, since there's no other questions, are you okay with that F chord now? All right, let me go into, you know it is. She says it's a work in progress. Let me go into this next sheet that I have here, which says G-C-D chord rhythm. Okay, and we have someone else who has joined us. Okay, G-C-D chord rhythm. Let's do this first, and I want to do this very quickly. And actually, I don't know that I'm going to have time to do this. What I wanted to do was talk about the notes on the fingerboard at least up to the 5th fret. But it would take, it's maybe a 5-minute thing, and we're at almost 40 minutes into the session already, and it stops at an hour. So I really am going to just go on and just show you what we have here. Sign up for the 100 series, the 101 class, and we will talk about the notes on the fingerboard. You know, you really, if this is working for you here, then there's no reason not to sign up for it, because we're gonna, and you'll have to decide, are you in the 101 class or the 102? Because you signed up for the 1 series, I would not say the 103, and that one's actually not offered until this next 6 weeks is up. All right, let's look at this. There are a couple of people who didn't read tablature. I'm not going to show you how to read notes, and the tablature are these numbers underneath the notes. you have 6 lines that are going across there. Each line represents a string. The highest line, opposite of where that first 3 is, the highest line represents your first string, and then the next one down is second, third, fourth, fifth. The one that has the 3 on it is your bass string. It's the lowest string, the lowest line, 6th string. Okay, what this is telling you is to hold down the third, is to hit the 3rd fret on, the numbers tell you what frets to hit, so hit the 3rd fret on the 6th string. Okay? Now, if you hold your G chord through this whole set of first line, then more than likely you're going to be holding down everything that's written in the measure. Now these are quarter notes. You can see, it's, if you look at the notes, even the numbers will tell you in some degree that it's a single note with one stem off of it. That represents a quarter note if the note is blacked, right? If it's open, if it's an empty note, then that's going to be a 2-beat note. Okay, but we'll get into that in a second. All right, so here we have the hold a G chord. First 2 fingers on the bass, little finger on the first string. That's okay, I didn't even have time to read it. But I'll check it second because we may go to the jam at your house. Okay, anyway, so what this is asking you to do is hit the 6th string, 3rd fret, and then you see a stack of numbers. That's going to represent a strum. Okay, and then it's the 4th string open, and then a strum. And we're at 41 minutes and 40 seconds. So I'm going to do that over and over and over until I get comfortable with it. And I'm going to make my right hand look like I'm shaking off water. So I'm going to hit my 6th string strum with a nice whip in it. Then the 4th string. And that's my pattern for a G chord. Now, you're not supposed to get this in the class. You're supposed to work on it later. If this is slow for you, you're not supposed to be able to do it now. You're supposed to work on it after the class. That's the key to this, okay? All right, your C chord is going to be a little different, but do remember the shaking off of the water, because that changes your strum from this to this, which is what we want it to sound like, as opposed to, okay, shaking off water. Let's go to the C chord. If you already hold a C, just hold a C. What we're going to do is hit the 5th string, 3rd fret, strum, and then take that ring finger and move it to the 6th string, muting out the 5th. Okay? And that's our pattern for C. Okay? And then the D7 is hitting the 4th string open strum, 5th string open strum. Okay? All right, so now this says it's for G, C, D chord rhythm. What that is also telling you is that if you're holding a G7 or a G minor, it's going to be the same thing. If it's a C7 or a C minor, it's the same thing. You hit the same bass notes. These are the bass notes that we're going to hit. This is the important part. So if I have 2 measures of G and then 2 Cs and then 2 D7s, it would sound like that. Okay. Now what I have underneath that are bass walks that lead to the different chords. So if you had 2 measures of C, 2 measures of G, and then 2 measures of C, and then 2 measures of D7, and then back to 2 measures of G. Okay, what we're going to do is I'm just going to do this now because I really don't want to run out of time here. We get a lot of stuff in these classes. So go back and review the video when it comes in on YouTube, okay? All right, so now this walk is a walk that leads me from a G to a C chord. Okay, what I'm going to do is do 1 measure of plain G, and then I'm going to take this bass walk, which are all quarter notes, all down swings, and I'm going to substitute that for the 2nd measure of G. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then this walk brings me right into a C chord. Okay, then I have a measure of C, And now I have this C walk into my D7 or D. And now I have this D walk that takes me back to G. Okay? All right, so I've got one measure of G and then the G walk, one measure of C, boom chuck, and then the C walk, one measure of D or D7, boom chuck, and then the D walk, and then 2 measures of G. Let me just play it for you at 45 minutes and 30 seconds. 2, 3, 1 measure of G, 2, 3, then this walk, 1 measure of C, and then the walk. And then the walk. Then 2 measures of G. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. And then I would start over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Okay? All right, so practice that. Now the bass walks are there to tell everyone around you that something's happening and to change it up for you a little bit instead of just hitting chords. Boom chuck gets kind of old. So we stick these bass walks in there. Felicia, I'm going to watch out for you. No, you'll be walking. You may be using a walker, but you'll be walking soon. Okay. That being said, if you're not doing the bass walks yet, you need to just get the measures down. So the way you're going to practice the bass walk measures is just like what I did. Do 1 measure of rhythm for G and then do the G walk that goes to C. When you get to C, just do a boom chuck. This is how to practice that. Boom, chuck, rest, go back. Okay? Boom, chuck, rest. You do that for each one of the chords. And you do it slow. I'm going fast because I only got about 12 minutes left. All right. I want to hit this Auld Lang Syne for you. I was trying to think, what song could we do about now? And this one, if you don't get it down by this year, you'll definitely have it by next year. Now, here's the thing, is there are things I want to do on this that I want to add in. So I'm going to go ahead and play through it. Not too fast, but at a good clip. And this is just the melody stuff now. Now everything here, the first note in this song is a quarter note, gets 1 beat, hit with a downswing. The next note is hollowed out. If you look at the note, it's not colored in. That means it gets 2 beats. But if I notice, there's a dot after it. The dot is going to add half of the number of beats back into the note. That works in all of them. That's how it works. So if I have a 2-beat note with a dot, that adds half of that back in 1 beat. So that makes it a 3-beat note. Okay, I don't want to get into like the 4/4 in the top and the sharp sign that's there and all this other stuff. Okay, but if you're reading the tablature only and not the notes, you do have to look at the notes to see the beat value. Okay, so everything in the song should add up to 4 beats a measure. We're in 4/4 time, and that's all I can say on that right now. The first measure that just has the 1 note is called a pickup measure. All right, if you look at the last measure of the song, though, it only has the 3 beats in it. It has a 3-beat note. Then there's a rest, but that rest can be replaced by the first note of the song, giving you your 4 beats. All right, so in the first measure, though, you don't count the pickup measure. It's a 3-beat note, 1, 2, 3. Then there's a 4 on the 4th string. I don't really want to get into fingers now, but typically I would use my 3rd finger for that. I play in 2nd position in the key of G, which is also why I stay in 2nd position with my G chord. 2nd position for flat pickers means that my 1st finger is hitting the 2nd fret, 2nd finger hits the 3rd fret, 3rd on the 4th fret, and that's why I would use that. Okay? Right now, just play the note. Doesn't matter if you do it this way. Okay? So now, first measure is 1, 2, 3, 4. The next measure has 2 half notes in it. 1, and half notes get 2 beats each. 1, 2, okay? I'm going to hit the next one, 3, 4. 3-beat note, 1, 2, 3. 4, 1, 2. These are one beat each. So there's my first line. Now, if you're not used to reading tablature, this is a perfect song for you to start on. The 0 means it's open. The number tells you the fret. You count down from the top to see what string it is. That went by really fast. So I don't expect that that's going to make a whole lot of sense if you've never read tab until you really get a chance to just play with it. But do play with it because it's not that hard. It's paint by number. Okay? So an open string, a 0 is an open string. The number tells you the fret. Count down to see what string it's on. Let me play through this. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. Now, I'm on the second line, third measure. Okay? I've got a 4-beat note. It's hollow, doesn't have a stem. Okay, 4 beats. And it's got a slur or a tie to a 3-beat note. So I have to add all that up. 7 beats now. You can count to 7. You can count to 4 and then count to 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's the last note. All right. Any questions on this so far? Throw a hand up. Don't be bashful. Was that a hand going up? Throw it up again. I saw a blink over there. All right. Let me open up. Becky, can I open up your mic? Throw a hand up. Is that okay? All right. You're on the air, Becky. What's up?
What's up?
Yeah, did you have a question there?
Oh, no. You said throw your hand up. So
Okay. Okay.
Gotcha.
All right, good. All right. So now, here's what I wanted to move on to. I'm assuming that you're going to go ahead and get through the sheet, and it shouldn't be hard to do. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. All right. So that's what it'll sound like. It sounds like Auld Lang Syne. Here's what we do, though, is this is going to be an add-on. If we were like in the second or third week, we would come back and now address some other things we can do here. One of the things I'm going to do is I'm going to fill up the holes. The holes are this long stretch of time. Flat pickers can't stand being idle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. I can't stand not doing anything right there. So on all these places that have a note larger than 1 beat, and I'll tell you, I don't know any other teacher that shows this, because every time I show this in a workshop, they say, I've never heard of that. All I'm going to do is play whatever chord is above the measure for the remaining number of beats. I'm going to add in strums. So if it's a 3-beat note like the first one is, 1, 2, 3, 4. It takes 1 beat to hit the note. I've got 2 beats left over, so I'm going to hit 2 strums. Okay, and then go on. Okay, so all I'm doing is adding in the strums to the measures, and it fills it out into a guitar piece. It's really cool, and there's so many songs that if you looked at the Roy Clark, rest in peace, the Roy Clark Big Note Songbook, it's going to be written like this. It's good, except the notes are big, but it's going to have a lot of 2-beat and 3-beat and 4-beat notes. So all you do is you add in the number of strums of the beats you have left above the measure. Let me play all the way through it. Oh, first, any questions on that? Throw a hand up. And Becky, don't be bashful. Throw a hand up if you have a question. Okay. You'll all have this by New Year's Eve. Okay, any questions on that? Because that's going to give you something great to work on if you've never played this song before. If you have played it, maybe you didn't do it this way, which is important. You need to gather variations of songs that you play also, because you don't want to just do it the same way twice. Now, any questions, comments, answers, statements, any snide remarks, opposing views? Are we okay here? All right, now we're at 55 minutes and 45 seconds. The last thing that I would add into this not the last thing, because the last thing, I would just keep playing it variation after variation, which I'll do it here in a second. Thanks, Emily. Is to strum, this is really cool, is to strum the chord in the background. Great. Strum the chord in the background to the melody note on the first beat of the measure. And you do it on the first beat of the measure or each chord change. So what that means is I'm going to strum to this third string open, the G chord. Because it's the G note I want you to hear. If I went past it, you would hear the highest note. You hear the highest note. And that's the way the ear works. So I have the color of the chord, and then I have, and this is not hard to do. Everyone here can do this. So I have the color of the chord, then I have the melody note. The trick is I can't go past the melody note, so I'm only going to stop at the third string on the first beat of the measure. See that? So that would be the way if you're doing a solemn version of it. Okay? That's really cool, and everyone here can do that. I know you can. All right, so now, the only other thing you would do would be add in back your strums. And they're just regular strums. Now, this strum that we just did at 58 minutes, this strum we just did is is like a ring kind of strum. See, I didn't go like that. I went, drag my pick through there. Okay. So now if I add the other strums, okay. Now, Lynn sent me a private note. I appreciate that, Lynn. All right. I guess that's about it. We're at 59 minutes right now, I think. Uh-oh. Okay, so we'll go ahead and wrap it here. If anyone has any questions after this class is done, send me an email. You got my email address. All right, send me an email. All right, thank you, Bill. And I'm here for you, so, I'm in Florida. I got plenty of time. And then I hope to see you in the 101 or the 102 class. Thank you, guys. I sure appreciate you signing up for this so quickly, too. And keep in mind, this is not a hard thing to do. And I said that to my brother. He said, "Not for you." And I said, "Well, it's not hard. It just takes a little time. And you're not born knowing how to do this, so it's not expected." All right? Okay, so if this was too easy for you, go for the 102. If you think the 102 is going to be too easy, go try the 201. But I really doubt, I would not do that. I would not. Okay, gang.